When Naoya Inoue stepped into the ring against Stephen Fulton on July 25, 2023, at Ariake Arena in Tokyo, the stakes weren't just high, they were historic. Inoue, the undefeated Japanese prodigy known as the Monster, had long terrorized the bantamweight division with his otherworldly timing, brutal power, and surgical precision. But now, he was walking into a weight class above, super bantamweight, where a new king ruled. And that king, the undefeated unified champion from Philadelphia, was Stephen "Cool Boy" Fulton. Fulton wasn't just another belt holder. He was slick, composed, smart, and rangy. Exactly the kind of fighter who was supposed to give a wrecking machine like Inoue trouble. For the first time in his career, the global consensus tilted slightly away from the Japanese superstar. Doubts were whispered loudly. Could Inoue handle the size? The speed? The American-style slickness? Could he bring his knockout magic up to this new domain? As the two fighters stood face-to-face during the final stare-down, you could almost feel the tension cut through the air. Fulton leaned in, muttering something under his breath, trying to establish psychological control. Inoue, ever stoic, didn't flinch. He never needed to say much. He let his fists handle the talking. When the bell rang, the crowd held its breath. Fulton looked to take the center, assert his authority, and pressure the smaller man. But what he quickly realized was that size alone was meaningless when timing, accuracy, and violence came in such a concentrated form. Inoue wasn't just matching him. He was outthinking him, outmaneuvering him, and slowly dismantling him. Every time Fulton attempted to take control, he found himself caught in a trap. Inoue's footwork was like poetry in motion, his rhythm unpredictable, his pressure suffocating. It wasn't long before Fulton abandoned his forward march and began to circle, trying to regroup. But there was no safe space in the ring that night. Inoue had entered another level of focus, by the middle rounds. Fulton looked less like a champion and more like a man trying to survive an ambush. He was tentative, twitchy, and reactive. The fight had gone from competition to domination. And when the final blows came, they didn't just end the contest, they sent a statement. Fulton, who had never tasted the canvas before, was floored and stopped in devastating fashion. Inoue, once again, had turned a doubter into a believer. But if Tokyo was the site of his coronation at super bantamweight, America would soon become the battlefield where he'd have to prove his universal appeal. Months earlier, Inoue had made his long-awaited debut on American soil against Antonio Nieves, a brash, confident fighter out of Cleveland. Nieves believed he could crack the Japanese puzzle. He talked like he had the answers. Inoue, as always, didn't respond with words. He came dressed not in colorful trunks or patriotic symbols, but like a medieval executioner, cloaked in stoic black. And when the first bell rang, he didn't waste time introducing himself. Round by round, he went to work. Methodical, calm, and precise, he picked apart Nieves. His jab wasn't just a rangefinder, it was a scalpel. His body shots weren't just painful, they were demoralizing. Every combination told a story of discipline and cruelty wrapped into one elegant form. The Japanese phenom made a mockery of distance, slipping punches by millimeters and countering with punishing force. Nieves tried to rally. He threw back with grit, looking to regain some control. But the harder he tried, the more futile it became. Inoue's punches weren't just powerful, they were timed with mathematical precision. With each passing round, Nieves began to look like a man realizing he had wandered into something far beyond his understanding. By the middle rounds, Nieves could barely stand upright. The punishment to his body had sapped his energy, his pride, and his will. His corner saw what everyone in the arena did, that their fighter was being surgically dismantled. They made the humane decision. They stopped the fight. Nieves was spared, but the American crowd had witnessed something unforgettable. They didn't just cheer Inoue's violence. They respected the way he carried it, with cold professionalism and eerie calm. From that moment on, Inoue was no longer just Japan's secret weapon. He was now a global attraction. Pound-for-pound lists couldn't ignore him any longer. And the myth of the monster had legs. Fast forward to May 4, 2025, in Las Vegas. T-Mobile Arena buzzed with anticipation as Inoue prepared to defend his undisputed super bantamweight throne against Ramon "Dinamita" Cardeñas, a rugged Mexican-American warrior with a reputation for heavy hands and a heart that couldn't be measured. Cardeñas, 26-1 with 14 knockouts, wasn't just another challenger. He was the kind of opponent that fans love and opponents fear. Tough, explosive, unpredictable. And from the opening bell, he proved it. Inoue started sharp, flicking his jab and establishing range. But Cardeñas wasn't intimidated. He returned fire, catching Inoue in exchanges, even beating him to the punch at moments. The energy shifted quickly. Cardeñas wasn't there to survive. He was there to shock the world. Then came the moment. A crisp, brutal left hook detonated on Inoue's jaw, sending him crashing to the canvas. The arena gasped. The monster had fallen. For the first time in his career, Inoue was staring at the ceiling. Was this the end of the legend? But with the calm of a seasoned soldier, he got up at 7, shook his head clear, and returned to his corner. The knockdown had woken something deeper in him. From the next round onward, Inoue's demeanor changed. Gone was the reckless aggression. In its place, cold precision. He became harder to hit, harder to predict, and more dangerous with every exchange. While Cardeñas tried to press for the upset, Inoue danced in and out of danger, slipping punches and answering with sniper-like counters. The momentum had turned. Inoue was in the matrix again. As the rounds progressed, the crowd could see the tide turning. By the 5th, Inoue was the ring general. He cut off the ring with ease, landed combinations at will, and forced Cardeñas into retreat. Yet to his credit, the Mexican-American didn't wilt. He fought with everything he had, responding to the punishment with his own flurries. It became a war of willpower and technique. And Inoue was determined to outlast him. The 6th round was brutal. Inoue had broken through Cardeñas' defenses and was unleashing a torrent of strikes. Cardeñas stood his ground, but the punishment was mounting. By the end of the round, he staggered back to his corner, breathing heavily, blood mixing with sweat. In the 7th, Inoue came forward with bad intentions. The punches flew in 3s and 4s, and Cardeñas absorbed more damage in a single round than most do in an entire fight. But somehow, he stood tall, defiant, daring the monster to keep coming. Then came the 8th. Like a hunter that had finally cornered its prey, Inoue boxed him in, throwing sharp combinations and targeting the body with malicious intent. Cardeñas had nothing left to answer with. His defense crumbled, his legs wobbled, and the referee had seen enough. It was over. Inoue had once again risen from adversity to reaffirm his dominance. But perhaps the most personal chapter of Inoue's career came in May 2024 when he faced Nery. The bout carried more than just belts and rankings. It was soaked in personal vengeance. Nery, the Mexican southpaw, was viewed as a national villain in Japan after his controversial wins over Shinsuke Yamanaka, which were clouded by missed weights and banned substances. Japanese fans wanted retribution, and Inoue was their chosen avenger. The tension before the bout was palpable. Nery, ever brash, stared down Inoue like he had done nothing wrong. But inside the Japanese star, there was a fire that no one had seen before. He wasn't just fighting for legacy, he was fighting for national pride. Yet once again, adversity struck first. In a moment that shocked the boxing world, Nery landed a colossal left hook that sent Inoue crashing to the mat. A stunned silence fell over the arena. The undefeated monster was vulnerable, but not broken. Inoue rose from the canvas like a man possessed. What followed was nothing short of a controlled explosion. In the next round, he returned the favor, dropping Nery with a clean counter. And from there, he took over. Every punch Inoue landed from that point on carried years of national frustration. His timing was immaculate. His violence, controlled yet catastrophic. By the fifth, he had dismantled Nery completely. 2 left hooks pinned the Mexican to the ropes, and an uppercut sent him into oblivion. The referee stepped in, ending what could have turned into a much darker affair. Inoue had avenged Yamanaka. But more than that, he had proven that no moment, no punch, no controversy could unmake the force of nature he had become. From Tokyo to Vegas, from knockdowns to comebacks, from personal grudges to global acclaim, Naoya Inoue had lived a boxing life most men only dream about. He wasn't just the monster. He was the storm that arrived with no warning and left nothing standing.